Tonight, Ghana Medical Association demands immediate suspension of medical drone service on the day Parliament approved a controversial deal worth more than $12 million.
We should stop immediately and then a broader stakeholders meeting organized.
The NDC minority has already served notice they will review the deal if the party is voted back into power.
When we are in power, we are going to review. And when I mean review, we will look at everything that is in tandem with the national interest. If it falls short of the national interest, I can tell you the NDC will not uphold anything. That is not in the national interest.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
Other members, the question is all in favor of the motion, say aye. All against, say no. The ayes have it.
With that, the deal was sealed. Although it took another headcount to put it beyond doubt, Ghana will now most certainly begin to controversially deploy drones to deliver blood and other medical supplies to health centers across the country. The NDC minority had their say, but the MPP majority had their way. The medical drones service deal has left the country deeply divided. In fact, apart from the NDC minority in Parliament, several professional institutions have kicked against the concept. They include laboratory scientists, civil society group Imani Africa, and in the last couple of hours, the Ghana Medical Association has joined the chorus of opposition, demanding the immediate suspension of the deal. More from the Ghana Medical Association shortly. But firstly, to Parliament now, where the MPP majority were forced to make some changes to the financial arrangements in the deal before they use your numbers to approve it. My colleague Joseph Gakpo was in Parliament. What were the changes?
So this was actually a report of Parliament's Health Committee recommending approval that came to the floor for debate and approval. Now, the Speaker had directed that they go look at two main things. The minority is concerned that the Civil Aviation Authority had not given the green light for these drones to fly, and was one of their major concerns. They said there were problems with the financials. Now, when the chairman of the Finance Committee came back to the floor today, he indicated that they had looked at the bit having to do with the payments that needed to be done, and that one major correction was that there wasn't a flat amount in terms of how much will be paid per month for the day and night deliveries. Earlier the indication was that when they are operating at maximum capacity, they would be paid $88,000 for the deliveries. Now, he clarified that per the new information that they are incorporating into their report, the service fee per each of the 4 distribution centers per month will be $80,000 for day deliveries only. So $80,000 for day deliveries only, and then we'd have a situation of $88,000 being paid for day and night deliveries when they are deployed at full capacity. The difference then being that when they are not exactly at full capacity and they are doing deliveries during only the day, then the payment will not be the exact $88,000 that the indication was given earlier. It will be $80,000. And then the bit about the permission in order to allow for them to fly, we understand that a letter had gone from the Civil Aviation Authority to Parliament indicating that a conversation had started already and that GCAA doesn't see any impediment as far as the processes are concerned that would allow for them to eventually grant approval for the company to be able to fly the drones in the work that they do. So they again incorporated that bit into the report that the GCAA had been contacted officially and they have actually given the green light that the company would be able to go ahead and fly the drone. So that amendment was done to the Health Committee's report before eventually then the indication was that they can go ahead and begin the necessary processes to allow for the approval of the Finance Committee's report, which would eventually mean that the deal has been approved by the
I see.
House.
So those were the changes, and it's after that we saw the approval going through. And so what happened then after this, after the changes have been put before the House?
So after the chairman of the committee delivered those changes orally to the House, there was an attempt by the minority to get their spokesperson on finance, Kesela, to force him to comment on the issue. And the speaker blocked that and didn't allow them. He indicated that the debate on the issues had been completed. He was only going to give a chance to Joseph Yilechire, who is the ranking member on the Health Committee, to confirm whether the committee had actually met and those changes had been brought as far as the indication that the chairman of the committee was concerned. So Kesela Atuforsen was not allowed to speak despite the insistence by Muntaka Mubarak, the whip, that he should be allowed to speak. Eventually, the minority whip indicated that they wanted a head count. The speaker said that, well, that's a decision that he needs to take after the voice vote had actually been taken. And so the voice vote was then allowed. Then there was the yes and the no, as you played the audio earlier. And then Muntaka Mubarak challenged the outcome of the voice vote, insisting that there was no clarity even in the voice vote. Hence, he needed a head count.
I want to come under order 1132. And Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I read. A member may call for the head count or division if the opinion of Mr. Speaker on the voice vote is challenged. I'll be grateful that you take us through head count, because in my view, the no's had it, but you call the yes had it. So I'll be grateful if you take us through a head count to determine this beyond reasonable doubt. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So the speaker agreed to do the head count.
Exactly. Joseph was also agreed to allow for that. So he directed that all those who are in support of the approval for the deal, they should get up.
Okay. So what did the head count produce?
So eventually, these are the numbers that came up. And 102 members of parliament supported the decision.
102?
102, mainly from the majority side.
Okay.
And then 58 members of parliament indicated that they are against the deal, mainly from the minority side.
102 as against 58. 58, right?
Yes, 102 as against 58. Out of all the 275, so that gives us about 160, meaning about 115 MPs were not present on the floor today when the vote was.
But this is interesting, because if we assume that the 58 against were all minority members, we know that there are not 58 NDC minority members in parliament. They are over 100.
They are over 105.
It's exactly, the number is 105. Okay. So what this means is, if the NDC minority were really committed to their own, stated goal of opposition, they should have overturned and stopped this deal from being passed with their numbers. If we got all the 105 of their members in parliament today, that's what it means, right?
That's what it means. But then they've been responding to that bit as well, the minority, indicating that a number of their members were in committee meetings both in and out of parliament, and so they couldn't get all of them to show up in the House to actually support this particular process. But then, yes, only 102 supported the decision, the indication being that if the minority had all their numbers up to 105, they would have been having more of them to overturn.
They would have killed this deal in parliament today.
But what was clear even in parliament today was that on the majority side, a lot of them had showed up. Clearly, there was a deliberate process to whip a number of them in there, ministers, deputy ministers. Hence, they had the 105 who eventually.
So the majority side showed more commitment to pass this than the minority side showing to oppose it, as in the numbers, as we've seen with the evidence. But they held a press briefing shortly after this, addressed by the ranking member on the Finance Committee.
He is insisting the deal is a bad deal. He claims the deal was cooked in the office of the Vice President, Dr. Bawumia, and they expect him to rather come and explain and respond to the various questions that they had. Here is Kesela Atuforsen addressing the media.
Per the agreement, they are charging us $27,000 if they are operating at night. Unfortunately, if you are to prorata from the full operations to 25% operations, the cost should have been $6,250. So you can see something that should have costed the state an amount of $6,250. They are actually charging $27,000 per month per distribution center times 4 distribution centers. We think that it is a rip-off. What surprises me is Dr. Nsia Asare. he's the one being pushed to come and speak to the matter. But because he doesn't understand the issues, I know him to be someone who deals with medicine, but I don't know him to be someone who understands finance. But clearly he has started going into areas that he himself doesn't understand. So he's making mistakes by the day. I would have expected, I know he don't know much about the deal. The deal was cooked at the Vice President's office. So we expect His Excellency the Vice President to come and speak to the matter. He should come and speak to the matter because we know it's his office that worked on this deal. We know, even at the committee, his people are those who came to defend it at the committee from his office. So we expect him to come and speak to the matter. In fact, today is a sad day for Ghana. Partisanship is killing this country. Partisanship is killing this country because clearly, I know some members of the majority who deep in their heart, they are not for this. But because of partisanship, they are supporting it. It's a sad day for this republic.
The minority indicates that they are actually committed to reviewing this deal.
So their main spokesperson, who is actually the ranking member on the Communications Committee, ABF Husseini, indicates that in future, anytime an NDC administration takes over, they'll review this deal and ensure that what they are pointing out as the bad aspects of it are renegotiated and relooked at. And went on to say, you know, they've described the deal as fraudulent, criminal and all. They'll take the necessary steps to ensure if anything went wrong, those government officials that are responsible for that are brought to book.
When we are in power, we are going to review. And when I mean review, we will look at everything that is in tandem with the national interest. If it falls short of the national interest, I can tell you the NDC will not uphold anything that is not in the national interest. If it is not in the interest of the good people of this country, we will take steps to make sure that it is in the interest of the good people of this country.
As you speak, your argument is that it's not in the interest of the people of Ghana.
Of course, we are saying that some aspects of it are not in the interest of the good people of this country. So those areas in which we are being shortchanged are the areas that we are calling for to be rectified.
And that's the minority spokesperson. He's a spokesperson for the minority on all issues. He just spoke there about their desire to review this. Thankfully, we've just been joined on the telephone line by the minority chief whip, Muntaka Mubarak. Mr. Mubarak, thank you for your time here on Top Story.
Yeah, thank you very much, and good evening to your listeners.
Just as you were about to approve this, the Ghana Medical Association issued a statement. And thankfully, we've also been joined by the Deputy General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, Titus Bayo. Hello, Titus.
Yeah, hi, Ivan. Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you, Titus. Mr. Mubarak, if you just oblige me for a few minutes, let me just get the Ghana Medical Association's view on this in the statement that was issued today. Titus, the Ghana Medical Association is demanding the immediate suspension of this blood medical drones service. Why?
Yes, well, I think as outlined in our statement, the Medical Association is not against the use of this technology.
Hello, Titus, forgive me, but we're having some interference in your line. We'll try and see if you can reposition yourself, and maybe there's some instrument close to you that is interfering, so we can have a clear communication and a line to you, because you've had a detailed statement about this, because you think that there are other issues that they should be addressing. Hello, Titus, can you hear me?
Yeah, hello.
Okay.
Is it better?
No, we're still having some interference. Let me bring in Muntaka Mubarak and let's see if we can get the line rectified. Mr. Mubarak, in Parliament today, from what I hear, as far as the numbers that voted is concerned, the minority guys who opposed this, assuming that all the 58 that voted were minority MPs, that you fell short of your own 105 in the House. You could have killed this deal today.
Thank you very much. If your reporter I don't know if he reported to you, I didn't start listening to you from the very beginning. At a point in time, the Finance Committee and some other very important committees were moving into committee and had to even complain on the floor, because, you see, it's like you have a challenge with this zipline drone program. You have other challenges in other committees. Then, as part of the majority strategy, they decided to pull out to those committees. And you know how our committees work. Once we form a quorum, even if you are there or not, a decision will be taken. So we were forced to ask some of our rankings and some members to go and hold front in those committees. And remember, we know very well that our number is 106, our number is not 105. They have 168 members in the House. We were very clear on our mind right from day one that they had the numbers more than us, because as a whip, I did cross-check with my deputies. They had called all the ministers and almost everybody. Now, all they wanted to do was to see what we can do to divide our front by trying to get some committees to go on. So I even complained on the floor that why is it that in the morning like this that we needed to stay in the chamber, they are moving into some critical committees and holding those committee meetings.
Mr. Mubarak, I'm surprised.
We had to divide ourselves because if we had even succeeded in getting all those committees shut down, what will mean is that their members in those committees will still come and add up. So,
Mr. Mubarak, these committees you point to have both minority and majority representation, and yet the majority guys got their members in the House, 102 of them, to pass it.
Check. They have 102 out of 169, meaning that at the time we were taking that decision, there were 67 members of the majority that were not on the floor.
True. However, yes. I'm saying that, however, they still got enough numbers to pass it. You had 105 members, and yet you only managed to get 58 into the House.
That's what I'm saying. They had 167 members who were not in the chamber. So in those committees, if we are not there, they will form a quorum and they will carry on with the business.
I mean, but your point...
So we needed to be there because if we were to leave the business, you could, I mean, say that, we could have shut this down. But believe me, just as we in the majority were counting the numbers, our colleagues in the majority were equally counting the numbers. They would have simply called those their members in the committee. But because the committee meetings were going on, we had to sit there to tell our members, some critical members, that look, leave the chamber, go and hold the phone. Don't allow this to happen in that committee. So they had to go. So it is not that as simple arithmetic as you have, as if they were 102 and we could have gotten all our 106 into the chamber and neglect those who were in the committee. If we had done that, because they were counting, they would have also called all of them to come in. There was no way, no matter how you look at it, that we could have carried the number because their number is 169 and we are 106.
Okay.
Almost 63 difference. So the numbers, there was nothing we could do about them. But we wanted to just set the record and let it be reflected in the records of the House that when this thing came, we insisted and got it registered not only in a voice, but in numbers, so that posterity one day will judge all of us.
And I need you to tell me now what happens after today. Hold the line for me briefly. I've just been joined back by Titus, Deputy General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association. Titus, thank you again for reconnecting. Hopefully we can have a better connection to you. The GMA, a very important collection of doctors and dentists in Ghana. You believe this drones deal to supply blood and medical supplies should be suspended. You were explaining why.
Yes, like I mentioned, the Medical Association is not against the use of the technology, but it is clear that as we stand now, it is our view that there hasn't been enough stakeholder consultation. For instance, as doctors who will be using these services, we were not consulted in any aspect of this discussion. Put that aside, the current, if you listen to the explanations by proponents of this, the implementation of this technology now, the form in which it takes is at variance with our healthcare policy. The primary healthcare policy of Ghana stipulates what kind of care must be provided at what level. And if you are saying that you want to use a drone to send blood to remote communities, the question we are asking is, what is the capacity of the people at that level? Are we now going to change and say that at primary care level, at the health center, people can transfuse blood? So it doesn't sit well with the current policy structure that we have. So even though, sadly, as we are hearing, it has been passed by Parliament, it is still our view that the government can suspend this and have a broader stakeholder consultation. And if after that consultation we realize that it's necessary, they can go. If we realize it's not necessary, then they should just abrogate it completely. Because in its current form, and to the best of our knowledge, we do not think the nation is ready for this.
So fundamentally, the GMA's point is, one, as far as you're concerned, there are fundamental challenges to the healthcare system that this drones thing will not fix. In fact, you believe if you deploy the drones to deliver blood and medical supplies without the qualified medical personnel in these hospitals, you probably will be complicating an existing situation that is already bad, correct?
Exactly. And that if I may emphasize a little more, you realize that just giving of blood is not just an issue of the blood being available. Somebody needs to make that clinical decision that somebody needs the blood. Who makes the decision? Who makes the call? And there are simple things if you follow, you realize some of the arguments that is being given by the health service doesn't hold. If you say that the drone will deliver the blood to very remote areas, if there are no doctors in these areas, if there are no laboratory services in these areas, how do we know that even the blood that is going there? First, who makes the decision that the patient then needs the blood? Second, when that blood goes, how do we test to know that the person who is going to receive that blood can receive that blood? Third, if transfusion is like a surgical procedure, it has complications. The person, do they have the capacity to handle these complications? And if explanations like we will build a capacity, why the rush? Why not build a capacity? Why not train? Why not change the health policy? Because the current healthcare policy that we have, this planned implementation is at variance with the policy. At our current policy, you cannot give blood at a CHIP center. You cannot give blood at a health center. You can give blood at a district hospital where there is a doctor, where there is a lab. So how many district hospitals cannot access blood and will need a drone to send the blood to them? You see, and they said essential medicines of a certain number. As a doctor, I do not know what drugs are in that essential medicines list. They have only mentioned oxytocin. Oxytocin is a drug we use for uterine contraction to prevent PPH. Oxytocin alone cannot prevent the PPH. You need certain technical knowledge. So these are some of the issues we have with it.
See, and you say you haven't been consulted.
Yes.
But as it is, from what we've just heard, this has been approved. Government is determined to go through it. Is there something that the GMA intends to do now that it's been approved by Parliament?
Well, I think the whole nation is listening. Because if you have approved it and you are going, approval as far as you are concerned is different from implementation. That's why we are asking that they should suspend it. Government can decide today that they are suspending this thing to listen to everybody. Because if we are going to be the ones implementing it and we are not adequately informed and you sign on and monies are being paid, I mean, we stayed away from the cost of value analysis because we are not experts in that area and we're still trying to consult more on it. But if you have a contract that is running and the people implementing it do not even understand it and do not understand the role that they are supposed to play in it, what is it? And the question is, why the rush? Why the rush? Why could we not just consult the doctors, consult the nurses, consult everybody in the health sector that needs to know about it and take our opinion? Why not even a pilot? Why not even get everybody's opinion about it? Why the rush? That is the point that GMA is asking.
But the Ghana Medical Association, why have you waited this long to make this point about this project, which has been proposed by the Vice President? At least it's been on the books, it's been talked about it for almost a year until it came to Parliament.
All right. I am on record on your station, on PM Express, when we talked about the Nobel syndrome, to have mentioned there, and you can check the tape, that when we do not have ambulances and government says it's going to bring in drones to circulate to distribute blood, as far as we are concerned, the nation was not ready yet. The technology is not bad. We are not condemning it, but we say that as far as we are concerned, a lot of things need to be put in place and more stakeholder consultation must be done before. Now, if you talk about the fact that the GMA has now coming out, we have spoken against it before, and I in particular spoke about it on your station. We have continuously called for an improved referral system. We ask for emergency centers, call and contact center that people can call, improve ambulance system. We have called for distribution of doctors, nurses to critical areas. All these have not been heeded. As we speak, we have over 300 doctors sitting at home waiting for financial clearance. We cannot get clearance for doctors to work, but we can immediately get clearance and get approval to bring in drones that will send blood that is supposed to be used by these doctors. So the question is, why the rush? And since this thing came up in public discourse, we have asked and requested for documents to see. We were not consulted. We have called the powers that be to give us that document to look at, to see what the details are. And they were not forthcoming with information. What we also know is as much what the public knows. And as an association, we contacted the health service, we contacted people in authority just to get a document to look at and see what's in it. And that is why we are asking that suspend this Let us discuss with all stakeholders, and let's see the merit or demerit of this thing, and let it not be a political thing. We don't think that health should be politicized. Even giving of blood and essential medicines are necessary, but blood is as dangerous as it is as life-saving. If it's given wrongly, it can cause a transition reaction. Someone can lose their life immediately. So there shouldn't be politics about this at all.
I'm grateful that you joined us, and this terrible line, it's not his fault. It's a challenge we have with our system. We're trying to fix it, and I think our team is working on it. Apologies for that. Let's bring in Muntaka Mubarak, who is on the line with us. His line is better. Mr. Mubarak, so this has happened. Is there anything that the minority intends to do going forward, having registered your protest?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, we have raised our protest, but as a minority, we have a bigger responsibility to follow throughout the implementation stages. I mean, how the monies are going to be used. They are taking money from GMPC. We will call in GMPC to be responsible. We will all monitor the first phase and see how many of this drone movement is happening per day, per month. These are things that we all need to do and see where it is going. Because, look, the interesting thing is that, Evans, the agreement is that each center will not move beyond 80 kilometers. So if you are in Accra, that means that Accra and environs, which already is not challenged with blood bank and medication. If it is Kumasi, the same. So let's see. Ours is to keep a close eye and monitor vividly whatever is happening, and definitely make it known to the public. And like some of my colleagues said, obviously this is something that we are telling the contractors who are coming to do this. Well, they should know there could be a serious risk, because if we ever get back and when we come back, this is something that definitely will have to be reviewed. And if there's any underdealings or some wrongdoing, people should be ready to suffer the penalties of it.
I'm grateful, Minority Chief Whip there. Let's quickly bring in the chairman of the Health Committee in Parliament. His committee reviewed the deal and made the changes that led to the approval today. Dr. Chub Nyama, the Ghana Medical Association, and I'm guessing you're a member of the association, they are demanding that you suspend this thing you approved today immediately. Okay, apologies. Apologies. This line isn't a good line. We'll try and call you on the other one and have a clearer conversation with you on this. But this has been Top Story. We'll be delving into this a bit more as we try and understand what really is this deal that has been passed, but also speak to the Ghana Health Service. Now that the Ghana Medical Association, they will be implementing this. Their doctors will be making the request. They are opposed to this. What is the Ghana Health Service's own view on this going forward, now that a huge constituency responsible for the implementation is itself objecting to it? Stay with us.
But I thought you said your place was ransacked by thieves a short while ago.